Hello and welcome to the SadFan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad. And we're going to start where we always start. What's making us sad? So this week, we've had a ton of things pop off in NBA free agency, obviously. After the rookie draft, it's time for us to see who's going where. And of course, after last week's show, you're familiar. If you've been listening for a while, you know we're Warriors fans here at the SadFan, most of us, except for Wes, who's a Trailblazers fan, and Chelsea, who is a Trailblazers fan. Thank you so much to Chelsea for our draft coverage last week. It was phenomenal. We are very grateful for her going out to the show, getting all those shots and bringing back all that information. But we're going to sit in free agency right now, and we're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors. Last week's show, I made a comment about how they are going down the path of the Miami Heat. All right. That means that they are starting to look like a squad that will make the play-in tournament every year. And everybody's like, watch out for that team. Watch out for that team. And they never do anything. So why are we still watching out for a team of geriatric superstars? And that's what they are. At least the Lakers now, in comparison, are taking on a new identity behind LeBron James. So they're doing a lot to get LeBron James surrounded by talent that can actually help him and help that team propel to the next level. However, that's not what the Warriors are doing. The Warriors right now, their core is Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, and Steph Curry. There's no youth on that squad, and there's also no backup support. And what's going to happen is they're going to be either a play-in team again, or they're just simply going to miss the playoffs, which is something that can't keep happening if you're the Golden State Warriors, because Steph Curry only has so many years left where he can make an impact that will matter as far as winning a championship is concerned. They need to find these new impact players that can actually make a difference and propel this team into its next decade, because Steph Curry just can't keep doing it. And last year you saw the body breakdown towards the end of the season. You saw Jimmy Butler's body breakdown. You saw that he just doesn't have it. Jimmy Butler just doesn't have it anymore. The Heat got that one right. Now, the Warriors are only under contract with Jimmy Butler for another year at $50 million, but it's time to make a move while you have him under contract. You need to pull the trigger on Jimmy before Jimmy pulls the trigger on you. And these are just facts if you're familiar with Jimmy Butler's work and you've been following Jimmy Butler, because he will start to make a big fuss the second his contract is due. He'll start to whine and cry about how valuable he is when he's just not that valuable anymore. So the Warriors need to focus on getting at least younger stars or role players that can help this team go, like I said earlier, into the next decade. Now they've got Brandon Podziemski, but he is going to be a role player. Without this team and this setup around him, he's not going to make a ton of difference moving forward. Buddy Hield, one of the most streaky shooters. So you need to start packaging some of these folks and pull in another superstar, and then you can sign a bunch of Brandons. You can sign a bunch of Buddy Hields. Like, you can do that after you have another viable star that can help this team move forward, because right now they're competing with the West, who is insanely competitive, and the Warriors are not doing what teams like the Lakers are trying to do. They're not doing things to keep up. Even the Nuggets got rid of Michael Porter Jr., and that's something that's going to help the Nuggets moving forward, because really they just need Jokic and Murray. That's what their team is built around. Whereas the Warriors, and those two stars are still young. The Warriors, however, don't have that luxury because their stars are not young. They need something that's going to make a splash. Otherwise, they're going to be spinning their wheels. Now, the Miami Heat do this with young players. They've got Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, that they're not looking to trade. They're not going to move on from to get that superstar. Now, I'm not knocking them for not getting Kevin Durant. I guess I'm a lone dissenter in saying that was a terrible trade by the Rockets. Kevin Durant is old. He's old, and you need to start to push these people to roles. They can't be your superstar anymore. We saw that in Phoenix, and for some reason, yes, Phoenix was a train wreck, but we're confusing that with it wasn't Kevin Durant's fault. No, he was on that team. So it was partially his fault. You can't just simply sit back and say, well, that wasn't his fault. No, sometimes some of these things are the superstar's fault. And you have to say, okay, is he punch drunk at this point? Can he still do it? And if the answer is no, he can't do it, it's time to move on from a Kevin Durant. And the Suns did that. And they took a haul. Okay. A lot of people are saying the Rockets lost that trade, and I just disagree. I think that the Suns have put themselves in a position to be good for a while. Devin Booker is still very, very good. You add Jalen to that mix, and who knows what this team can be. Jalen's very young, and he's not Markelle Fultz. He had streaks where he was very good, and he showed that he could be the superstar on a team. And the Warriors simply don't have that. It's time to pull the trigger on some of these aging superstars. It's time to maybe move on from a Draymond Green. Wes has been saying that for 2 years, and for 2 years, the Warriors haven't really done much to shake up the system or to shake up the playoffs and move forward with a really great team. It's time to maybe move on from a Jimmy Butler. He wasn't enough to get over the hill. He wasn't enough to get out of the play-in. So here we are. Now what do? You move on and stop playing these games where, I wanted to curse there, I'm glad I didn't, where you're just bringing in old guys to satiate an appetite that exists, but it will continue to exist because these teams are not going to get you what you want, which is one more ring for Curry. That's really where we're at as Warriors fans. Curry is the one piece that we want to keep, but we want one more ring for Curry. We want him to get the 5 rings in the LeBron James era, where LeBron James only has 4, and one took place in a bubble in a shortened season. Okay, we want Steph Curry to actually be the king of an era, not tied for the king of an era. All right, let's talk about the Steelers and this offseason that they've had, because they have been essentially doing everything it takes to go all in on a season. And it really looks like Pittsburgh is going all in on 1 year with Aaron Rodgers. And you've heard my opinion on this. He is washed. He's not going to get you to that next level. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing everything that they can to surround this guy with optimal talent, to include trading away Minkah Fitzpatrick back to his original team, which I'd love to see all the times that's happened in the NFL. The NFL is very unique. Trades have only become super popular outside of Madden in the NFL in the last probably 5 years or so. Like that now is the big name trades. Now is what we're seeing is superstars moving, trades making news. You didn't really see that outside of Herschel Walker, right? Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers signed Aaron Rodgers after they brought in a DK Metcalf, and now they have traded for Geno Smith, who was one of the best tight ends in the NFL last year, and that is legit. He was one of the best tight ends in the NFL last year. Then they brought in Jalen Ramsey in the same trade, all for Minkah Fitzpatrick. So with Minkah Fitzpatrick coming into this squad, or exiting this squad, yeah, their defense is going to be left with a gap. But you got to wonder, are they going to use Jalen Ramsey at cornerback? Or are they trying to convert him to safety to really fill that hole that's left by Minkah Fitzpatrick? Because right now, that defense was an all-world defense. The defense wasn't the problem. The problem was the offense. They couldn't get anything going on offense. So now they've got a tight end who was insanely good last year. Geno Smith, if you watch the end of last season, that dude was getting touchdowns every single game, at least a touchdown every single game. He was Tua's number 1 target. He was close to the top 10 in receptions because he was Tua's safety net. And is that what he's going to be for Aaron Rodgers, a guy who cannot move anymore? The dude can't move his knees. He can't move his legs. I don't know if he can move his mind lately if you listen to that dude talk. So right now, I think they're surrounding Aaron Rodgers with a bunch of players that are simply going to be able to do something after the catch. That's what it looks like. Can we surround Aaron Rodgers with enough players that can make moves after the catch that will allow us to utilize this 1 year to get to the Super Bowl? And the answer, again, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are actually making moves, which is what in the last segment we were asking the Warriors to do, is probably going to be no. It's probably going to be no. There's nothing there for Pittsburgh to grasp onto to knock out teams like Buffalo, to knock out teams like Kansas City. They're just not close in those areas. They're playing catch up in their own division to Baltimore. They're playing catch up in their own division to Cincinnati. Houston has been flirting with being one of these really good teams. We'll see. CJ Stroud had a really rough season last year, but they've been flirting with becoming one of those teams. You've got Los Angeles Chargers who are flirting with becoming one of those teams. And every team I just mentioned is better than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is trying to edge their way in with an all-world defense, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. It doesn't look like Pittsburgh's going to be able to make any noise, even with these signings, because Aaron Rodgers isn't good enough anymore. He's not a next-level quarterback. He's not a Justin Herbert. He's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not a Josh Allen. He's not a CJ Stroud anymore. What he is a skeleton with a name, and he's a fragile skeleton with a name. Who knows if his body will hold up? The Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line was not amazing last year. It's not an offensive line that you're like, okay, that offensive line can keep him safe. This is going to be an offense predicated on getting rid of the ball as fast as possible, as accurately as possible, in order to prolong Aaron Rodgers' ability to carry this team. It's basically going to be hey, you don't make mistakes, and we're going to go out there and win the game as a defense. And I don't know, one, if Aaron Rodgers' ego can handle that. Maybe it can if it means I'm going to get another Super Bowl. And I don't know, two, if that's going to be enough to get it done against the teams that have both, which is really Kansas City and Buffalo in this division. They have both. They have a decent defense. They have a great quarterback that can propel them forward, that doesn't just have to play protect the ball or keep away. They have a quarterback that can actually go out there and win them a game, which is something that the Pittsburgh Steelers just don't have. So I don't know what these steals are going to be as far as the Geno Smith, Jalen Ramsey, DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh. It's going to be a lot for nothing, I think, because that team is not going to be able to make it out of the wild card, if they can even make it into the wild card. Like I said, they're third in their own division at this point. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to carry those people over the hump. It's just not going to happen. Jalen Ramsey is maybe in the Aaron Rodgers category at this point. This is kind of a prove-it season for Jalen Ramsey, and he's not going to. I think this is over for Pittsburgh. And let's get on to the Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders, Geno Smith was caught on camera saying something to the effect of, I'm about that life, and that's why I get paid the big bucks. First of all, that is the oldest man thing to say ever. It's not like a hotline. You didn't hit him. Like, they wrote me off, but I didn't write back was good. He had us with that line. But this recent interaction just makes him look immature. It makes it look like he hasn't learned anything, like it's all been a facade. Like, we all get angry, but you have to remember who you are if you're Geno Smith. You have to remember that you're the quarterback of an NFL organization, one of 32, that you have to act a certain way. You can't just go out there and act a fool, act up. So with him doing that, it makes me question even more what the Las Vegas Raiders are doing and not bringing in a quarterback, and trading for Geno, signing him to this extension. It makes me wonder, is this going to be a Pete Carroll thing where we're going to draft a quarterback next year to replace Geno Smith, and he's going to discard Geno Smith and that big, huge contract, because really what Geno Smith is a stopgap, because that is what it looks like. I'm really scared for this Raiders season. After finishing 4-13 last year, all you think about is how much worse can it possibly get? And we're going to find out. We really are going to find out how bad this is going to be for the Las Vegas Raiders, because this team, it's scary at this point what they're going to be able to do. As a Raiders fan, you're sick of seeing this, because this team has been absolutely terrible for, I don't know, gosh, since they've made 2 playoff appearances since the Super Bowl, so that's 2002. And right now, they're putting their eggs in the Geno Smith basket, and that's just not going to be enough to make this team exciting. I don't know if it's enough to get away from 4-17. Pete Carroll wasn't a splash hire. It's not looking good at this point for Las Vegas Raiders, for Las Vegas Raiders fans. And we just kind of got to hold on to see, can Ashton Genty do something? Can Devin White be what he was in Tampa? Or is this going to be another Raiders season as we approach the 30-year mark? We're not quite there yet, but we're getting closer to 30 years of irrelevance, not a commitment to excellence. 30 years of irrelevance of a team just not being able to get it done. And if you're a Raiders fan, you are absolutely over it and you've had enough. And you have a right to have enough because this team, though they've made splashy coach hires, the John Gruden regime, Mike Mayock, was absolutely god awful. It was so terrible. And you can key in on 1 to 3 players that they draft and you're like, that's why we did it. Okay, cool, fine. 3 players, what did it get you? On to the Las Vegas Aces in the WNBA, and we just really need to figure out what is happening with this squad. This squad was a team that could have three-peated and just didn't get it done. But they were right on the cusp of a three-peat, and it seems like maybe Kelsey Plum she's my favorite WNBA player, but maybe she was more important than we thought for the Las Vegas Aces. We really thought A'ja Wilson was going to be able to carry this team, and they have Jewel Lloyd. They have a really great team, but they just have not been able to get anything going this season, to the point where last night Becky Hammond really laid into them after a 27-point loss to the 9-8 Indiana Fever, the Caitlin Clark-less Indiana Fever. And that team right now looks, they're 9-8, but they look like they can compete for a championship in the WNBA, where really it's become more like the NBA, where get yourself into the playoffs, you've got a shot. But the Las Vegas Aces were pegged as one of the best teams in the league again, simply because they've got the MVP in A'ja Wilson. They've got an all-world player in Chelsea Gray. They've got Jewel Lloyd. They've brought in players to surround this core to really propel themselves to the next level, and it just hasn't clicked this year, as this team is now 8-9, the 2-time champion. They've made it to the championship 3 times in that time span, is below 500, and it's inexplicable. It's unfathomable at this point how this team could have slipped so far from grace. And maybe this rant from Becky Hammond is exactly what this team needed to get the kick in the butt that it was required to get them to where they should be, which is a top contender in the WNBA. They're not a team that should be at the bottom of the standings. They're not a team that should be below 500. Right now, they're in the middle of the pack. Thank God that Connecticut is so terrible. And I guess Kelsey Plum needs Las Vegas as well, because LA is absolutely awful as well. Dallas Stars Wings, Dallas Stars hockey on the mind. Dallas Wings are actually starting to click, and Paige Beckers looks like, hey, she's a potential rookie of the year in Dallas. But right now, we just don't see any way that Minnesota can be caught by a team like Las Vegas. It's irritating if you're a Las Vegas Aces fan, but I don't want to forget that we've lived a pretty blessed life over this last 5 years, this last half decade. Becky Hammond is a great coach. I think she's there for the long haul. I think this is a blip on the radar, but Las Vegas needs to figure out what needs to get done so that they can get back to their rightful place at the top of the mountain, because they're not playing well. They're not playing like a unit. They're playing through A'ja Wilson, but who else is there to help this team get to where it needs to get? Like, who is going to step up? Is it going to be Chelsea Gray? Is it going to be Jewel Lloyd? It was Chelsea Gray last year. Can she do it again? Can we figure out what is going on? Is it fatigue, right? A lot of these players played in the tournaments down in Miami. Whoever it is, it's time for those players to step up, get the job done, and make sure that this team is at the top of the WNBA this year. This team has the potential to do it this year. This team has the players to do it this year. They just need to put it all together and make sure that, hey, when we get into the playoffs, we leave the regular season behind, and it's time for us to excel to the point where we can win another championship. In New York, they don't belong in RC. It is Las Vegas Aces League, and it is Las Vegas Aces Championship. Thanks so much for joining us each and every week on The Sad Fan. We will see you next time.
Back to the block. Back in the shop. Get it off a dummy. Always get money.